Hello and welcome to Some of My Friends Read Comics. We've got Vance.
Hal Jordan told me about this dude.
We got Chris.
For fails, step out of the shower and oh no!
Wait, both of y'all did Hal Jordan quotes about
On the same page, maybe.
on the same page. I'm Kia. Hi, welcome to the show. Today it's Christmas season. It's December something. We're getting close to Christmas, right? We're gonna do some Christmas comics here. Actually, it's like one big collection. It's called Christmas with the Superheroes 1988. It's a DC collection. Actually, I was looking this up. They did a few of these things. They did this one, then they did another one the following year. But in the 70s, they did 2 years in a row of this same kind of stuff. And then in the early 80s, they did 2 years in a row of the same kind of stuff. And there's a lot of the same stories reprinted kind of throughout all these things. Yes. So, but this is a collection of 6 different stories from just kind of across the DC universe, stories from throughout the 70s, 80s, one from the 60s, actually.
One is very 60s.
Yes. So it's just a little bit of everything. The swinging Christmas Carol. And we'll talk about all these. Also, we have been continuing to read Squadron Supreme. We're on issue number 7. We are just past the halfway point. So before we get into that, we'll do a little recap of what's happened in the first 6 issues because it's definitely been a lot. But I think we're pretty much ready to jump into this Christmas special here. We should say that in the last issue we did our little contest, our little bet to see how many of these stories the real Santa would appear in. What did we say, Vince? Do you have those numbers?
Well, we were feeling optimistic because some of these stories were called like The Man Who Murdered Santa Claus. Kia, you said 4 times that Santa Claus would appear in these 6 stories.
I said 4?
You said 4. We felt like that may have been too little at the time. We thought that Santa Claus was going to meet everyone. I said 5. Because I was feeling,
Okay.
I think I've been watching too many like Disney Junior specials where like Mickey Mouse helps Santa Claus and then the Paw Patrol helped Santa Claus. So I was thinking 5 of the 6 stories we're gonna have Santa Claus. Okay. And Chris lowballed us per usual with 1. He guessed
1. Price is right answer. Yeah.
But also generally, whenever we make these bets of these tropes showing up, the low answer is probably the right one, and I hope that doesn't bear out. But we'll keep the count going.
We'll see.
Yeah, listener, one of your podcast hosts had his senses about him, and wasn't just like Santa will be on every page.
Yeah, we'll see which one that turns out to be. All right. So, the first story in this special is a Batman story called "Wanted: Santa Claus, Dead or Alive." It's from DC Special Series number 21 in 1979, written by Denny O'Neil, art by Frank Miller and Steve Mitchell.
Okay, so I see a Frank Miller book called Wanted, Santa Claus, Dead or Alive. Santa Claus is going to get murdered in this story, right?
Right.
Okay, so we're
Santa
1 for 1.
Doesn't get murdered. Yeah.
He doesn't.
The beginning... Yeah, the first little scene is Batman going after this business asshole guy named Lasco, saying, "Hey, why do you have a getaway boat at the docks?" or something like that. I'm like, I had a hard time figuring out exactly how this scene fit into everything, but that's okay. The real kind of main character in the story is a guy named Boomer Katz, who's a criminal, and he had made attempts to reform in the past, but it's like, this guy's always a criminal, and he's just gotten a job as a mall Santa. And Batman's like, of course, this is going to be some racket to stick up the place. And so then we see this guy as a mall Santa, and he's like doing a good job, and he's got a tear in his eye, and he's like, he's been changed by the power of Christmas. And the gang he's with is like, all right, it's time to do the plan. Turn off the security alarms. And he's like, I won't do it. I won't go through with it. I'm a good man now. And, of course, they're like, no. And they make him do it anyways. And they stick up the place. And Batman comes in to save them. And it's a nice little story. Is that everything that happened?
Yeah,
I think that's everything. It was a short little story.
I saw this like 100 pages. I thought these were all going to be like full-length issues. But I think some of these must be from like collections or like anthology
Some of these
series.
might be
this is
like
what, like DC
stories,
Special you said?
that
Something like that, yeah.
Right, yeah. So this would have been like a story from a comic that had multiple stories in it. So yeah, definitely very short, definitely to the point. Yeah.
And this would have been when Frank Miller was starting Daredevil. So yeah, he's drawing a different monthly
Before
comic.
that, because this is from, it said it was from 79? But
Yeah,
but I also think that I think the way their publication went, it was probably like January 79. So it's probably late 78. And I think
yeah,
Daredevil's
so that would have
early
even
80s.
been before.
Yeah,
No, I mean he starts in 79.
Oh, really?
But yeah, I don't know. He does draw one girl that looks like Elektra wearing a Christmas outfit. But yeah, the one thing you didn't mention, Kia, is the magic in the story.
Oh, what was the magic in the story? I missed it.
The magic is that they look up and they see like a star basically shines on the Santa Claus right before he's about to be murdered by the goons, and then Santa beats them up, and then he's like, "Look, the star's out," and Batman's like, "Yes, that's probably a coincidence." And then it has a passage from Luke 178 about the Star of Bethlehem or whatever.
I must just glazed right over that. Well,
it didn't feel very Christmassy to me. I need like Mayor Humdinger trying to get all the presents to be sent to him instead of the Paw Patrol. Like that's what the kind of stories I was expecting here. This was not it.
I mean, I am a big fan of the Star of Bethlehem. I might have to go back and read that again.
Well, Superman's going to try to go find it in a Legion story a little later.
Yeah, they love that star.
Yep.
But yeah, this is so I remember
a quick little first story.
I remember when Denny O'Neil passed away earlier this year. It came out, or at least I learned that he had given Frank Miller and a ton of people their first work. So this bears out that him and Frank Miller worked very early. So.
Yeah. Interesting. And it is a good story. It's just like it's a little bit quick, and it's just like a nice little story about the power of Christmas changing a person.
I do like the idea of these collections, though. I bought a Mad Magazine Christmas collection, also from DC, like from like last year or the year before, which is just just a magazine you would buy, with 6 or 7 Christmas stories. That seems to like be a pretty easy sell. Like here's some Christmas. I mean, it was easy for us too. It's like we need to find some superhero Christmas stories. DC's like, here we go.
That's it.
So
we got
and they
you
still
covered
do this. There's like a
one.
DC holiday bash from like a decade ago, also. So this is not uncommon.
So did Santa Claus appear in this story?
Nope.
Does the Star of Bethlehem count as Santa Claus?
No, because that's Jesus related. That's in the Jesus segment of Christmas, not the.
No. Isn't Santa Claus Jesus?
No, I watched Klaus last night on Netflix. Okay. Jesus and Santa Claus are different concepts.
Klaus?
Yeah, it's a Jason Schwartzman, J.K. Simmons movie about Santa Claus's first Christmas. Netflix got nominated for Best Animated Oscar last year. It's pretty good.
Wait, is it animated? Is that like the Grant Morrison comic?
No, something.
Okay, all right.
Not also to be confused with Claus of the Panther or anything like that either.
Klaus of the Panther. That's a different.
That's a different.
All right, so we're on to the second story from Justice League number 110. It's called The Man Who Murdered Santa Claus, 1974, written by Len Wein, art by a couple of Dicks, Dick Dillon and Dick Giordano.
Dickie D and Dickie G.
Dick D and G.
Dickie G has like 3 stories in this book, by the way.
He does.
Yeah.
He appears in it quite a bit. And this starts with Batman and Superman. They're waiting for Santa to finish getting dressed to go see some orphans. And there's an explosion. And they're like, Santa Simpson is dead. I don't know who Santa Simpson is, but that guy's dead. And there's a cryptic note with a key there. And they're like, oh, no, we got to summon the rest of the JLA. And like some of them are busy with family. Like Barry Allen is in the future. But they all get summoned.
I like that though. Like that's always a story point I've always had. Like if you had the ability to time travel and you were on vacation, would you just go somewhere in your time, or would you go to the future or go to the past and go vacation like in ancient Greece? I like that little touch. That's a good one.
It's a good idea. Hal Jordan gets
fucking amazing.
And on his way, he's getting out of the shower, and he slips on a bar of soap, and he's like out. And the power ring is awake, his Green Lantern ring, and it's like, it tries to wake him up for a second. It's like, well, I guess I'm going to get out of here. It encases him in like a healing field of some sort, and then flies out to John Stewart.
He just fucks off. It's like, well, shit.
He's like, yeah, we're out of here.
Well, this Green Lantern's no good. Let's go find another one. And I sent this to my friends because it's hilarious. And they were like, is this John Stewart's first appearance? And it's not. But the idea that the Green Lantern ring... I almost want John Stewart's origin to be this. Like Hal Jordan slipped in the tub, and then the ring was like, I got to find somebody.
I mean, it is his first time meeting a ton of the Justice League, it seems, unless they did and they didn't remember or something like that.
His Stewart's first appearance is in 1971 as a substitute Green Lantern. But this story's from, it says March 74, so I'm assuming this is late Christmas 73. So he's been around for 2 years at this point. But yeah, probably not met anybody.
But yeah, he's probably made only a couple of appearances because Green Arrow is like, I've heard of this guy, and the rest of them are like, who are you?
Superman's skeptical, but Green Lantern. This is my top of the show. I want to quote him exactly. Hal Jordan told me about this dude, Soups. That's. I love the idea of Green Arrow saying, "Told me about this dude." I think that's so funny. I don't know why.
Yeah, well, I mean, he definitely really is written as like the token black character in this because they're like the caption says that they're in the urban ghetto, like on their way to where they need to go. They run into some, they run into some like poor kids who are like, "Hey man, I mean, you're black. Can you give us some money?" And he's like, "Yeah, sorry, they don't make pockets in these suits, so I'll come back to help y'all later."
Are Batman and Green Arrow both billionaires in that scene?
Look, they don't carry cash. They don't carry cash. That's all. That's all you need to know.
And also, it's St. Louis, Vince. That's far from their jurisdiction.
Okay, I do love the panel though. I think it might be my panel of the week of them on their little scavenger hunt for the riddles, and it's just a wide shot of them all standing on top of the Great Arch in St. Louis. I think that's a really cool shot.
Nice. That's nice. When they realize it, like the clues lead them to St. Louis, and. So first off, we haven't talked about all the members of the team. It's your pretty standard like Justice League-ish lineup, but Red Tornado is there, who is a robot. He is not sure why Christmas Eve is such a special day because he is a robot, you see. And Green Arrow can't explain it, and he's just getting mad that he can't explain it. He's like, which it doesn't seem too difficult. It's like, oh, it's a day with a lot of tradition behind it. I think a robot would understand that.
Yeah, Green Arrow says, what's the use explaining it to some dumb machine? And he's like, I assure you, my capacity for understanding concepts is not impaired. If you were too stupid to make me Google it, that's fine.
Is Red Tornado Russian? Or am I confusing him with the silver guy that is Russian in the Justice League International?
No, Red Guardian in Marvel is Russian. Okay. But Red Tornado is just a robot, I think.
Yeah, that's what I know. So they go to St. Louis. They're on the arch, and then they're like, "Okay, well, we don't know which hole this key will lead to, so we're just gonna have to try it in every lock in the city," which is bad puzzle design, I think. If you're not gonna try to solve the puzzle, you're just gonna try to solve it everywhere.
Are there any other clues that maybe we can narrow it down? No.
No, but they do say.
Does anyone in our team have X-ray vision that they could like scan the city and find?
They do say if only the Flash was here, he could do it way faster. But he's still in the future.
I feel like the force of him going that fast to jam that many keys and locks would also probably be problematic.
Yeah, it would hurt the key, I think. But they do a thing where Green Lantern like bestows some willpower onto the ring while Red Tornado like does some scan and
just like a Geiger counter on it or something.
I don't know, but
they like their radius.
The idea is when they get close to the lock, he'll be able to tell. And so he finally finds him. This is, I should mention, like a full-length issue. It's a full story. It doesn't really seem to be super Christmassy from this point forward, or really from the beginning forward. It's like Santa Claus was murdered. There's not a lot of other Christmassy stuff happening.
Until the end.
Until the end. There is like a dude in a shadow who is picking them off one by one. We finally realize that it's some guy named The Key, and he's got a henchman. He calls him Keyman number 1, and I think did we see a Keyman number 2? I don't know. He called one Keyman number 1.
Is this when they fall in the trap door, and somehow Superman also falls down a trap door?
Yes.
Superman does. I didn't notice that. Because I did notice. Go ahead.
Superman falls down there, and they're like, "Oh, well, it's because he has a miniature sun in his basement that's somehow yellow enough to neutralize Green Lantern, but red enough to fuck with Superman's powers."
Yeah. Also, just a sun in the basement.
You know how you do.
Yeah. And Superman, his powers are like, well, my powers are weakened, but I've got to take this thing out, or else we're all doomed. So Green Arrow and Batman like lift him up and heave-ho him and like hoist him into the thing because he can't fly. And then he like disappears and explodes into smithereens or something, and everyone's like, "Oh, I guess Superman's dead. Well, that sucks. Let's keep going."
And this definitely, as someone who was a Marvel fan growing up for forever, like a lot of people hated the villain Arcade because they thought he was like too much of a DC villain. And I didn't read DC, so I didn't know what that meant. And I'm like, oh, that's what it means.
Yeah.
It means that he has like a weird warehouse of death trap for no reason.
So they all get picked off one by one. Were there any other interesting deaths? I didn't write down any of the others.
There are some Christmas-related ones. There's some Nutcracker robots. There's some like what do you call them? I guess just Christmas ornaments like bouncing around.
Yes.
So some of them are Christmas themed, but yeah, they're pretty whatever. It's like, and you figure out what's going on because they spend like a quarter of a page being like R.I.P. Superman, and then as they're going, like another League member gets left behind, and they're like, well, I guess they're dead too. So I'm thinking even a child has to be like, well, they're not really dead.
Right. They finally get to the bad guy, and I don't remember when exactly we hear the bad guy's backstory, but we learn that he was guilty. Superman caught him. He was supposed to get trapped in like suspended animation in the Fortress of Solitude, but the judge said that's not constitutional, so they just put him in prison instead, which I think makes sense to me. What doesn't make sense is that they gave him.
It's like had not Superman's suggestion been ruled unconstitutional by a too lenient judge. I'm like, one, I do agree that this is definitely stripping of human rights, but I also don't know if the Constitution has jurisdiction over the Fortress of Solitude. So
that's all. Good question.
Is he being extradited to the Fortress of Solitude from America? That might.
Well, this is okay. So this is the part I have a bigger problem with. They give him 20 to life, but then they find out that all of his experiments or whatever were given him poisoning, and he's dying. So they set him free when they find out that he's dying.
That's a loophole. If you have a terminal illness,
is that a loophole?
Then you don't have to go to prison.
Oh, that's good to know. So the person who has nothing left to live for, who is also a villain who is trying to destroy everything, is like the safest person to let go. Makes sense.
Yep. Checks out.
Anyways, yeah, everyone is still alive. They all got help from the Phantom Stranger. Cool.
Looking a lot like the Question.
He did look a lot like that. I thought it was the Question. Yeah. In the epilogue, Red Tornado, they gift him a new costume with some color on it. Ooh, look at that. And he's like, well, I don't understand. Why are y'all giving me this present? Because he's a robot and he doesn't get it. See? And that's it. It's a nice little story. Arrow finally is like, Merry Christmas. Because he's a little bit of
at some point, at some point, Green Lantern, and I really do feel like we've learned that the Green Lantern Corps is a fascistic, even worse, all cops are a bad organization. Because he reconstructs, they destroy the whole city somehow of St. Louis, or at least the homeless area. And then so he rebuilds all these nice new buildings for the homeless to live in. And I think he says, and I don't know the exact quote because I don't have the panel up in front of me, but he says, the Green Lantern ring wouldn't let me create new stuff for them, but I can reconfigure existing stuff, which is so fucking bullshit. Just speaks to me that the Green Lantern Corps sucks. This also came up when he was when they were asking him for money, and he's like, maybe I can just like conjure some up with my ring or something like that. And Arrow's like, no, buddy, that's against the rules. Like even Green Arrow knows it. Well, we don't want to listen to market shock and put the market into inflation if the Green Lantern can just create money, which I'll buy a little bit more. But make a fucking turkey or something. I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
An air conditioner, a heater, like a furnace, a heating unit. I don't care. Something.
But it also, like, Green Lantern can just, like, make new matter. I mean, I sort of understand that he can just fix a house. Like, that seems pretty doable. But, like, he seems to be implying that he can just create something out of nothing.
Yeah. That doesn't even seem to be within their powers. It's like, are they implying that it has always been within a Green Lantern's powers, but they're forbidden to do it? That could be it.
I don't know.
That could be it.
That'd be a good story. That where I wonder if Sinestro ever did that, where he's just like, we could choose so much more, but we are limited by our rules and core. I bet that's a Sinestro story.
Yeah. That also rhymed, Vince. Nice job.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I'm ready to go on to the next
Regular
one.
Jeff Johns over there.
Yeah, I do think this is my second favorite story though of the 6 we read.
This one?
Yeah. They're not all winners, I'll tell you that.
They are. You're right. They're not all winners. So maybe this is my second favorite. Okay, we'll see. I'll check it out by the end. Okay, so where are we at here? Teen Titans.
Okay. Swinging Christmas Carol from 1968.
This is by Bob Haney with art by Nick Cardy and Helen Vesic. I do think the art here is my favorite. It has a very cartoony style to it. We
I'm
have
expecting this for 68. I was expecting a lot more DC House style.
It's a character named Mr. Scrounge. Get it? And he has a comic book company with his assistant, his employee Ratchet.
Why are the names so close but changed? It doesn't make any sense to me.
Well, okay, so there's a lot of stuff in this story that doesn't make sense to me, but we'll get to it.
Like if you want to do a straight Christmas Carol,
Jerry Lewis.
Yeah. Like if you want to do a straight Christmas Carol thing where it's like it's modernized and the Teen Titans have to deal with it, that's fine. And I know that it's about to change, but these are my notes I'm reading. But I'm just like really mad. Like, why are we changing letters? Like the Dickens, like estate is not going to come after you.
Right.
I'm pretty sure it's public domain at this point. I mean, as we learned last episode, A Tale of Two Kitties, like you can do what you want with Dickens stories.
Well, they also did change those words around. So Tale of Two Kitties allowed.
Yes, they did change that there. Touche.
Yeah. Two kitties, not touche. So Scrounge is overworking this guy. This guy just wants to raise enough money to be able to buy an automatic wheelchair for his son, who does already have a wheelchair. Doesn't really seem like a very essential purchase, but you do you, man. If that's what's important to you. Tiny Tom. Scrounge finally lets the guy go home. And Tiny Tom decides to go visit his dad at work, pushing his wheelchair through the snow. It's the saddest image I've ever seen. But his dad's already gone. He sees Scrounge wrapped up in some shady dealings where these criminals are like smuggling in junk and they're using this machine to turn it back into real things and they're selling it. What a bunch of criminals. What was the crime here? I'm not actually sure what the crime was because this doesn't seem so bad.
Yeah, does it go back to being junk afterwards? I don't understand what the problem is.
I think they were like illegally smuggling it and like not paying tax. I think the idea is they weren't paying taxes on this stuff. That's basically the most crime that I can see here.
That's not written. I don't know. Okay.
It's not written directly, but it is.
Yeah, there is a line saying that importing junk from overseas and then turning it back into brand new expensive stuff that he can sell at big profits. Like that's okay.
That seems like great business. I don't know what the problem is here. So Tiny Tom sees this and he's like, "Oh, I gotta go tell Dad." So Dad goes to Mr. Scrounge and accuses him, and he's like, "What are you talking about? I'm just letting people use this area for doing whatever they want. None of your business. Now I'm gonna make you work Christmas so I can keep an eye on you and you don't go to talking to the cops or anything." Which again, I don't know what the big deal is, but that's okay.
But for some reason, the Teen Titans get alerted to this crime and are like, "We better get involved."
Yeah, we got to get involved in this. Meanwhile, Scrounge gets visited by the ghost of Jacob Farley? What? But is it really a ghost? No, it's just a guy who escaped from prison who refers to himself as a ghost because he just wanted him because Scrounge just wanted Farley gone,
I do like this pick. I do like this particular wrinkle on the Christmas Carol story he's someone who took the fall for Scrooge. I like that. I like that twist. That's additive. I like that.
I like it.
I thought you meant the twist that he's not a ghost.
Well, that too. I think
that's fucking funny to me.
But
I am a
he's
ghost
there
of the night.
in his...
Yeah, that's a real Batman vigilante thing. Yeah, I like that too.
He's wearing his classic striped prisoner uniform, so he's a prisoner.
Yeah, he just left the Beagle Boys.
Yeah, he shows up in so the Teen Titans show up, and they're talking to everybody, and they don't do anything really.
But this is like classic Teen Titans also. This is 68. This is before like Wolfman and Perez that we've read before. So there's like no Beast Boy, right? It's one. Is it Wonder Girl? They keep calling her Wonder Chick, but I'm not sure if that's just trying to be cool in the 60s.
Yeah. Yeah, it's Wonder Girl.
That's just
okay.
Yeah.
That's Deanna Troy.
Okay, and then
no.
Donna. Star Trek Next Generation here. I didn't realize their names were that close. And is it Aqualad and Speedy?
Yes.
Kid Flash?
Honestly, the Teen Titans are the least important part of this story, so I don't remember.
It takes a long time to get to them.
In this one.
Well, anyways, they show up, and Scrounge is like, listen, there's an escaped convict, and you all are all trespassing in my home. And the Teen Titans are like, he's actually right, so we should get out of here.
We have no jurisdiction here. We can't.
Well, but wait, where'd Farley go? And he just like ran out of there, and they lost him. I don't know. But then they're like, hey, wait a minute. Look at these names. Scrounge, Ratchet, Tiny Tom, Farley. Don't all these names remind you of something? Oh, yeah, A Christmas Carol. And that's when I was like, what?
This is the stupidest thing I've read. We've read a lot of stupid things in comics. But the logic of their names are similar, why don't we just do that? Sounds like a bad Community episode plot. Like,
it's amazing.
Like they're like, their names sounded like, therefore we could pull this scheme on them that will just make them think it's A Christmas Carol, and it'll work. I wish it didn't. I wish they had tried it and it like just flat out didn't work. But
I mean, that's what I thought was. Well, I thought it wasn't going to work. Okay, so they dress up like the ghosts, like the ghost of Christmas past, present, future. They go to Scrounge. They do all the typical stuff. Wonder Girl is the ghost of Christmas future. She's showing a lot of legs out here in the snow, and I worried about her being cold. She needed a wintertime costume. Anyways, they all dress up like ghosts until finally these other bad guys, that crew of bad guys that have been working with Scrounge, like blasts her out of the air.
It was going to work until she got shot.
It was going to work. And then they're like, hey, it's a Teen Titans. And Scrounge goes, what? It was the Teen Titans? And that's when I thought, oh, it didn't work. But then Scrounge helps the Teen Titans because just them showing him how bad he's been was enough. And the good guys
I know we don't have all day to talk about it, but the way the Teen Titans are defeated is just like question mark. Like I understood what happened to Wonder Girl. She got shot. They said it winged her. Then they used her bracelets to like magnetize her to like a wrecking
a junkyard
thing.
crunching thing. Yeah.
Yeah, and then dropped her in the little car crusher, and she broke out of it. But then the rest of them, what happened?
They all got sucked in somehow else.
Into what? Like there's just like beams coming off of like junk that seems to like magnetize their body to the junk.
We didn't learn exactly how this big machine works.
I don't think it's a fancy. I don't think. Yeah, I feel like it's just a normal magnet machine. But somehow they're all in peril until they're not.
Yeah,
right. Until they get saved.
Turns off the machine, and they're all free to beat up the bad guys.
Yes. Like I said, the art here was pretty cool, and the story was weird as hell. So happy ending.
This is great, and if anybody, I know it's Gush to plug other podcasts, but Tighten Up the Defense is a weekly podcast that alternates between episodes of Teen Titans and the Defenders, and they've done every issue of Teen Titans. So I hadn't read this before, but I had listened to it because as I was reading this, I was like, oh yeah, this one. Because they're all this crazy in the 60s. Like, it's a goofy book.
Yeah, it's very goofy. All right, I think it's time to move on to the next one, Legion of Superheroes.
Starlight. I do love it, though. The art is amazing.
The art's amazing, yeah. So Starlight, Starbright, which is from DC Special Series number 21, 1979. Wait, is that the same one? Mm-hmm. It is. That first Batman story was from the same comic book issue. All right. But this is by Paul Levitz with art by Jose Luis Garcia Lopez and Dick Giordano, old Dickie G.
And Jose Luis Garcia or Garcia Lopez is the guy that did a lot of the basically the character models from like the 80s DC characters. So he really did like a lot of the design for like what, Aquaman and, various other, like, and not Superman, because I think that design was already done. But he did a lot of the design work for a lot of the updated 80s characters.
Like post-crisis or what?
Pre-crisis, like late Bronze Age. I think into like the early 90s, but his art is like the model art, like the way John Romita's was, or Jack Kirby's for Marvel, where they were like, this is what this character should look like.
Like Jim Lee with the New 52 kind of thing.
Right.
Okay.
Very cool.
I definitely also really liked the art in this one. Not just the costumes for the Legion, but they encounter these weird creatures that look really cool. We should really just jump into the story.
We haven't talked. I don't know if we've talked about the Legion at all.
Yeah, I feel like we've mentioned them once or twice, but not really talking about them.
Because they're from 1,000 years in the future, so they haven't really had much overlap with anything we've covered on this show, if we've done them at all. And at some point, like Superboy, who's the teenage version of Superman, lives with them and has adventures through history. I do like the book. Takes place in 2979, so 1,000 years exactly. I'm not sure if the Legion goes in real time, but I know if you look at a Legion comic today, if there even is one in publication, it would say it took place in 3020. But they have so many reboots that I think that's why the characters don't age.
Right, right. I mean, why doesn't Spider-Man age, right?
Right. I mean, they don't even bother though with Marvel time. They say it's the same year, at least.
Right.
But then the reboots get around that. So.
But yeah, it is Christmas time in the year 3000 or whichever year it was, and there's some mistletoe hanging. Ooh, we got some smooching going on. And who's this? Phantom Girl?
She's got like Kitty Pryde powers. Is she before Kitty Pryde, Chris?
Huh?
Does she take? Is this before Kitty Pryde showed up in 79?
This was, I think, before, right around. But yeah, this character predates her for sure.
Okay.
Interesting. But they're hanging out. They're talking about the holidays, and they talk about going after the Star of Bethlehem. Well, I did not take very good notes at this point in the book. I was starting to get a little like, oh boy, all right.
Yeah,
well, what's going on here?
There's a lot going on here. My major note here is that they meet a guy. They have a teammate named Karate Kid, which takes place before the Karate Kid came out. Also, that seems like just like maybe a little racially insensitive. Like the Japanese guy, let's call him the Karate Kid. But here we are. But they're going to find the Star of Bethlehem. And then I don't really know what happens because they end up going to like 3 different planets. And I don't know why that's...
Yeah. There's like something... There's like crops on fire.
There's
and
something
they're helping
wrong.
all
Each
these
planet
species.
has like something wrong with it. Like something's on fire. But then they violate like the Prime Directive in some way.
It's just one planet, though, Vince.
Oh, is it? They flew off in 3 separate directions, is why I thought it was 3 planets.
Well, I think it's 3 separate people on this planet.
Yes.
Like 3 separate species. And the art on these species is very cool. They're just like neat little creatures. I like all the art here. It doesn't look Christmassy because there's fire everywhere all the time. And they're like, oh, well, we finally saved them.
It feels like they had like a lot of these stories, it feels like they had an issue already planned. And they're like, make it a Christmas issue. And it's like, they're going to find the Star of Bethlehem on this planet we already had the story written for.
Yeah, I do want more because they show like on the viewer screen like how the other Legionnaires are like celebrating Christmas. I wish there was more to it. And it also shows, I don't even know this character, but they show Colossal Boy, who's just having a regular Hanukkah, but he's like 20 feet tall. Like I want that guy's Hanukkah story.
I like the characters for a brief view as we're getting of all these Legionnaires. I like them. I think this,
it's a nice story. It definitely is. Like I don't mind this as a Christmas story if it's like, it's just a regular issue of Legion that takes place in December, and so they give us a nice little Christmas at the end, like, hey, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays. I just questioned its inclusion in a holiday-specific compilation, where it's like, this doesn't feel like a Christmas story. It's like, it just happens to be Christmas, and they said Merry Christmas at the end.
It's 1988. We've had 50 years of Christmas stories, and this is
the one? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's nice. The ending is nice.
It's a fine story. It is nice, yeah. I like that.
It's the like representatives of the 3 different, like the fish people, the caveman people, and the bird people, I guess. The Zora, the Gorons and the Kokiri. I guess the Rito or whatever would be the bird people.
I will say though, this is my favorite story. I like the art the most in it. I like the swashbucklingness. I like the characters the most. It, for as much as I don't really know what. Yeah, I don't know what's going on in the middle of it, but I like it. I just like. If this was a preview of and read these other books, I would most want to read more Legion books out of this.
Okay, interesting. I completely disagree, but
yeah, I know. I mean, that's surprising from you, Vince, who famously doesn't like teen books.
I know. So when they click, they click. I'm like, I like these characters. Colossal Boy, and just them hanging out. This gives me the idea of what I like about the X-Men. Is the people just having, and even Squadron Supreme is the kind of downtime that the characters have. I feel like this one had a lot more of that, and then their adventure was kind of tertiary to it.
It was funny reading that Justice League episode or issue earlier, doing a Squadron Supreme. I kept thinking Green Arrow, I'm mad at him.
Oh yeah,
I'm like, oh, this is a different guy.
Well, Superman at one point also referred to Green Arrow as Archer, and I was like, that Archer, what an asshole, he hates Christmas. All right, so on to Superman. It's a story called "'Twas the Fright Before Christmas." Good rhyme right there. Never heard that one. From DC Comics presents 67 in 1984. Written by Len Wein and E. Nelson Bridwell, with art by Kurt Swan.
Hey, Kurt Swan.
Kurt Swan. The art here also really, really nice. But the story starts with this little kid trying to stick up a Salvation Army Santa with a toy gun. Actually, no, it's not a Salvation Army Santa, because later he's like, I should have gotten a job with the Salvation Army. But it's the same thing,
Yeah,
right. And this
page
kid
one,
is
tries to rob Santa Claus and then shoots him.
And then shoots him, yep. And then page 2 is Superman. He's there. He was seeing it. And he sees that the kid has been hypnotized by a secret radiation mechanism from inside the gun. This is the third panel.
Wait, no, this was I got my notes confused. This is my favorite story. That's
okay, good.
Okay, there we go. I knew Superman was involved. Story. Okay, I got confused.
Yeah,
okay,
yeah. This was my favorite.
That makes more sense. The other one had great art, but I didn't love anything else about it.
Yeah, we were very.
I wrote this is my favorite story, but I got my notes confused. And I'm like, okay, I'm I'm having to scramble to justify it. I'm like, why did I think this was my
Great.
favorite?
You were like, oh geez, it past me said this, so I gotta go with it. All right.
I love this though, and the kid takes it so fucking well. He's like,
yeah, okay. So Superman basically kidnaps this child, wraps him up in a coat, and flies him back to the Fortress of Solitude. And he runs some tests or uses some equipment or something. I don't know. Feels a little off-brand for Superman, but that's okay. The kid is so the kid wakes up. He's out of his hypnotism state. And Superman's like, what happened, man? He says, well, I don't believe in Santa, so I snuck to the presents in the middle of the night to see what my parents got me. And I tried to shoot this gun, and there was a flash of light, and that's the last thing I remember. And Superman says, okay, kid, now I'm going to hypnotize you.
No. I want to read my panel here, though, because I love this stuff. Well, for one thing, you did try to use that toy gun to hold up a street corner Santa. I didn't. I couldn't. I did? Gee, will I have to go to jail?
This is a very fun story.
I was gonna say I've got to read Superman's next line though, because it's so crazy. No, Tim, but I would like you to go back under hypnosis again, under my control this time.
Again,
wait, what?
You kidnapped this child, you've taken him back to the Fortress of Solitude, and now you're hypnotizing him? This is a problem. But he's doing it for the canceled. But he's doing it for the purpose of learning the whole secret message that this gun gave to him somehow. And the message was, I don't know, just do crimes, that kind of thing. I don't remember. But they're flying back now so that they can figure it out once they know what's going on. The kid's out of the spell. But the kid also had this toy starship in his hand that Superman was too stupid to even check that. And this toy ship knocks Superman out with his beam, and they go crashing into the snow.
They're flying towards the screen. The kid just holds out this spaceship and shoots Superman in the face. I also don't know how this villain knew that this kid would run into Superman. Oh, well, I think maybe
he just put that in a bunch of random toys just in case.
Then that means
Superman
there's a lot of these
locked.
things. There's a lot of kryptonite guns running around.
Right.
Is my concern.
Right. We'll get to that. So we then get to. Sorry, I lost my notes here and where I was here. Okay, yeah. So they're passed out in the middle of the snow, and they're gonna die out there. That's like a blizzard. It's terrible until they get saved by some elves.
Some dudes in beards, and I'm like, oh, that's right. Fortress of Solitude is in the North Pole. Holy shit. Is the real Santa going to be here? Are these Christmas elves? I got real excited.
Oh, yeah. We haven't been talking about the last few issues. We'll talk about them. Yeah. But and if Santa appeared in them. But the answer is basically no. But they're flying back. Yeah. So they wake up in this room and Santa's there. It's a great splash page to reveal Santa. He's like, hey, my name's Chris Kringle, but people call me Santa. Ho, 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 ho. And it's pretty great. And Santa knows about Toyman because he knows about everything. Oh, basically, yeah. Superman ascertained that this would be Toyman. I don't know if he said it out loud, but, we all kind of knew it at this point if we know who Toyman is. And, they're talking about toys a little bit. Superman is recalling this childhood toy that he loved that was like, it taps into your mind and projects the images, and it's like a holographic projector. Little baby Superman had a badass imagination, kind of imagining this big old monster creature thing. Pretty cool.
Yeah, how does he remember this? What?
Hey, Superman has a good memory, okay? One of his
This must be he can hypnotize people and they get the whole story, so maybe he hypnotized himself.
Ooh.
This also runs very contrary to the Superman origin I know, where it's literally an infant who flew too.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
That's why I'm like, how could I was very confused by that. But yeah, then Superman's like, reasonably asked Santa Claus, like, I've had my Fortress of Solitude on the North Pole for years. Why didn't I ever run into you? Yeah. He's like, well, I don't let people, see this place unless I want it to be seen or whatever. And you're like, oh, okay. So he's magic.
Yeah, he's magic. And I'm kind of okay with this. It is called the Fortress of Solitude. I don't think Superman would go look for his neighbors at his Fortress of Solitude. So,
hey, makes sense.
He just gets Santa's mail one day. Like, what the hell?
Who else is out
here? Well, the only two heroes on the North Pole decide to team up, and we get a nice Santa-Superman team up. Santa, there's a funny line where they're riding the sleigh, and Santa's like, "Trust me, dude, I'm fast. I know how to do this."
Santa, my Amazon package says it's delivered, but I never got it. Did they send it to you?
But they go flying back. They run into Toyman. I really like the art here because Superman is just fighting all of the Toyman's various toys. It's like a full page of 9 panels of just him fighting various things. And then the elves bring in some good toys to fight all the evil toys. And then this might be my panel of the week here. That devious fucking trickster Santa Claus is hiding in a corner and he rolls some marbles under Toyman's feet. And again, it feels a little off-brand for Santa Claus. Doesn't feel to me like the way Santa Claus would be fighting, but I don't know. He is kind of a sneaky guy by nature with his powers. So maybe
I guess he doesn't want Toyman to see him.
Maybe, I don't know. Toyman was about to hit some death beam at Superman, but the marbles cause him to shoot his own robot instead, which gives it, I guess, tons of mass, tons of weight. It goes hurtling down into the center of the earth, and then it's gone. Cool. But then the good guys win. Hooray. And so the end basically is that Superman gets a printout of all the customers who bought these gimmicked toys.
Closing
what about the customers who paid with cash, though?
Yeah.
No, but what about if you paid with cash and you didn't give them? Are they just screwed?
Maybe they all have warranties. I don't know. He's trying to close that loophole. Especially because credit cards aren't really a thing. In this time. I mean, they are, but they're not as widespread as they obviously are now.
I don't know. Everyone got
maybe?
written receipts. Yeah, that could be it. But anyways,
but I like this. I like the theming of it. I like.
Hold on, we're not done. We're not done.
Yeah.
There's more.
Wait, there's more.
There's more. The beam from the kid's starship hits him again, and he wakes up in the snow. What? Was any of this real? But he was asking about Santa, and now the kid does believe in Santa. And Superman's like, oh, well, I guess I'll head home now. And he's like, oh, celebrate with everybody. Let me get my Clark clothes out of my cape. Hey, what's this? And it's the toy that he was talking to Santa about. And there's a like he turns it on and it shows an image of Santa Claus holding up a banner that says Merry Christmas, Superman, which also again doesn't feel Christmassy in a way. Like, I don't know about Santa holding up a banner. It feels like he's at a football game. It doesn't feel like he's
or like a happy birthday banner or something because it's specifically to Superman.
Yeah,
right.
It is strange. And didn't Superman say earlier that it's a holographic thing that produces what's in your brain? So that it's just Superman imagining Santa Claus holding a banner.
yes, that's what he thinks.
But also, his mind has forgotten that he met Santa Claus. So how is he imagining this? Oh, because
he
it's
does
his dream.
say it's a dream, but then he's confused. Was it a dream?
But it's in his brain. His brain is generating this. Okay, I'm on board.
So listen, if it was a dream, then Toyman is still out there, and all these gimmick toys are still out there.
No, it was real, but Santa didn't want him to think it was real, so he put a
right. So right, Toyman... but what I'm saying is, why did Superman just say, "Oh, I guess my adventure is done"? If he thought it was a dream, because he still had a job to do.
Oh, because he had to close the loophole on all the kids who bought all those defective toys.
Yeah.
Either way, either he thought it was a dream and he still needed to catch Toyman in the first place, or it wasn't a dream and he needed to go replace all the defective toys. Okay. Either way, Superman has a new toy and he's playing with that instead.
Hey, Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, Superman. You do what you want.
I like this story though because it
was so much fun. It was so much fun.
It's ridiculous. Look at the cover for DC Comics Presents 67. That this published because it's like Superman like on a rooftop with Toyman with like one of those like big like shotguns like those silly ones from like the 1800s with the big like horn kind of thing. And he's hiding behind a chimney like like using it as cover, and then Superman's flying or Santa Claus is flying in the background. It's an awesome cover. But I like this. I like the Superman and Santa Claus. I like two dumb heroes teaming up. I like that. I like that Toyman's the villain. I think that's a really clever touch. It's
a perfect for Christmas.
It is, isn't it? Like with the toys and then you get like cool villains. Like it's Toyman like on his face. I'm like, that's stupid. But Christmas time, I'm like, yes, this is fun.
Yep.
I do take offense to you calling both Superman and Santa Claus dumb, Vince.
I'm sorry. I think that when I like look at like those Brave and the Bold covers, I want the silliest combination of heroes.
Yes.
Aunt May and Franklin Richards teaming up. Like that's what I want.
That's fun stuff. That's what I'm looking for Christmas. So we're on to our last story now. It's called it's a Batman story called Silent Night of the Batman from Batman number 219 in 1970. And I guess this is
1970?
So the art does not look like it at all. I feel like this art might have even been recolored because it looks very digital and very
weird digitally recoloring. Then the colors are a little too It has to.
It's Neil Adams' art though, isn't it?
It is Neil Adams' art, but the coloring is really the part that just kind of stands out as being more modern.
You're right. This looks like digital Neil Adams color, or when Neil Adams gets digitally colored. But I think it's because I'm always thrown by Neil Adams' art because of his angles. He always likes to do like down up angles.
I see.
Which is so atypical of other comics of that era, so that's why it threw me.
Yeah, it definitely doesn't look like the others. Yeah. What do you think, Chris?
He almost never has that just like mid shot of a character talking. Like it's always from like above or below.
But this story was written by Mike Friedrich, art Neil Adams, and Dickie G. Good old Dickie G again. This is definitely a shorter one. It's probably a backup in that Batman issue. But Batman is hanging out with some cops, singing songs like you do.
Not solving crimes.
Not solving crimes. But meanwhile...
Go ahead.
Go ahead. Well, it's so silly. I feel like you have to describe it.
Well, it's actually all these other people are helping each other on Christmas Day. And like this, there's sad people on the streets, and I'm like, and at first I thought like this is shitty, in like an all cops are bad kind of way, because it's like Batman and the cops singing while all these people are sad.
Crimes are happening. Yeah.
All these crimes and sad people are out on the street, and I'm like, that's a bad look, guys.
But then they don't do crimes. They get changed by the spirit of Christmas. There were like 3 examples of this. One is a kid stealing a toy from a lady, but then it's a Batman doll and they feel bad, so they give it back.
I was going to say, it's the spirit of Batman, not the spirit of Christmas.
That's also true. It could be either. The second one is that there's a guy who's going to stick someone up, but then he runs into someone who's dressed as like a blind Batman who's collecting money for the Wayne Foundation's Blind People Fund or something like that. And he's like, oh, no, I guess I'm not going to stick anyone up. The third example was a weird one because it wasn't exactly a crime. And it wasn't exactly anyone being changed by the spirit of Batman or the spirit of Christmas, but a lady has like a rose for her husband who's off at war, and he comes back and she's on a bridge and they drop him off at the bridge and then they hug. I don't know what this one was supposed to be. Do y'all have any more
I thought
insight?
she was going to jump, but then it didn't make much sense after that.
She was going to jump?
That's what I thought it was leading up to.
Oh.
Yeah, that does appear.
It was like a suicide note?
Yeah, she's crying, she's reading the note, and then she sees the picture of Batman in the water, and then throws the flower over the bridge, and then randomly she's reunited.
But was the husband, like, did she get notification that the husband was dead, or just that he wouldn't be there for Christmas, and so she was going to kill herself?
It doesn't tell us. She just is reading a note that's making her cry, and then she just goes to the bridge.
Well, turns out he's not dead. Good news. Anyways, back at the precinct, Batman says, holy shit, you guys, it is 6 a.m. We have been singing all night. Nobody has reported any crimes. How did that happen?
Amazing.
And this is, maybe the most amazing Batman moment of all time here, when he just sings with cops all night until 6 a.m. And then one of them is like a ghost. What was that? What happened at the end here? I got so lost.
So he's talking to Commissioner Gordon, and then he says, but what is the Christmas spirit, Batman? Might it not be you or I? And then he fades away. And Batman's like, what? And then he's talking to Commissioner Gordon. He's like, we've been here all night, and we haven't gotten a single call. So was he singing with a ghost of Commissioner Gordon?
I think Batman got blackout drunk with some cops. And then he's coming to
So the ghost. All right. So here's what I think was Santa Claus.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't get you to 4 though, Keith. That just.
Okay. Now calm down. We're not done. Remember the JLA story? Where Santa Simpson got murdered?
Yeah.
How do you know that Santa Simpson is not the real Santa? I don't know that Santa Simpson is not like one of his other monikers that people know about. And he just died in that issue.
Kris Kringle, Saint Nick.
Yeah.
Santa Claus, Santa Simpson.
That's just one of his names. So that's why I think that
you won.
That it's 3. And then like I got very lost during the Legion of Superheroes book. I don't know who all those people were, but it stands to reason that one of them could have been Santa Claus. So that's 4. So that's where I'm going with this.
All right. Well, Kia's our winner, clearly.
No, clearly the winner was Chris. There was only one in which he directly appeared. So good work, Chris. We were all fools about it.
I got enamored by the spirit of Christmas. That there was 5 of these 6 stories that have Santa Claus in them.
Yep. I also really like the back cover of the book, which was just all the superheroes' boots hanging over the fireplace.
I did like that too.
Yeah, that was very cute.
Although, if you don't look at it as a Christmas story, it does almost look a little sinister with just heroes' clothing hanging over a fire. Yeah. But I think we are ready to go on to Squadron Supreme number 7. I guess any final thoughts about Christmas as a whole? It's a pretty cool holiday.
Ho, ho, ho. Well, I mean, we still got another episode before Christmas, so.
Oh, yeah. All right. We'll talk about what we're doing next time at the end here. Let's jump into Squadron Supreme. We need to do like a quick recap of what has been going on and like who the Squadron Supreme are in case anyone is just kind of jumping in at this point. I do really recommend kind of going back and listening or reading the first 6 for yourself here because we've been having a good time with them.
Yes.
But the Squadron Supreme is basically a Marvel team that is just copies of the Justice League for the most part. They pretty much were appearing here and there in stories, sometimes as heroes, sometimes as villains, just kind of depending on who they were running into, that kind of stuff. which dimension the Squadron Supreme was from. And in their own dimension, the story kind of goes that they all got mind controlled. The president of the U.S. at the time was Nighthawk, who's like their Batman character. And President Batman was also mind controlled. The whole world got destroyed. Not destroyed, but like, in a really bad depression, basically. The Squadron said, okay, we're going to take over the U.S. and we're going to help build a utopia and rebuild it because this was all our fault to begin with.
Which we've significantly questioned as, and the book has a bent of, this is fascistic. It's not like as dark as Watchmen, but it's from the same era.
Right. It's a year before Watchmen. Yeah. President Batman does not like this plan. He says that he is, going to leave the team over it because he doesn't think this is the right way to make the change. And so he's off the team. Meanwhile, things just get more and more and more fascist. They make a behavior modification machine, which they're using to take, bad thoughts out of criminals' heads. They use it on a group of villains who end up, they join the team of heroes now.
I like that. I like that these villains. I really like these villains being added to the team, which we have even more in this issue we're going to get to in issue 7.
Yeah. We have one of the members of the team, Archer, who's basically the Green Arrow character, and was dating Lady Lark, who was like the Black Canary character. He asked her to marry him, and she said no, and they were going to break up, so he used the behavior modification machine on her, which was really bad. And then it came to light, and she's actually kind of stuck that way, still in love with him, so they both left the team. He got kicked out, and she followed him. Yes. The Aquaman character has been the one biggest voice of reason in all this. Maybe not reason, but like, I don't know, just extremely mad at them through his reason. I guess their lack of reason has driven him bad a little bit. So he destroyed the behavior modification machines, deleted the plans for them, and he got out of there. And then the last teaser we kind of got at the end of the last issue was that President Nighthawk, not former President Nighthawk, has been out and about. He's still keeping an eye on the Squadron Supreme. He is the one who has a plan to take them down now.
And if all that wasn't bad enough, one of their newest member, Nuke, died fighting the Squadron. Then their tech guy, Tom Thumb, found out he has cancer.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Tom Thumb has cancer. Everyone's got their own little bits of problems and stuff that we've mentioned. Really, the only character that we haven't kind of seen too much of is there's Blue Eagle, who was kind of involved in this love triangle. We haven't really seen too much of him outside of that. And then we have Hyperion as well, who we haven't really gotten to know too well, but we get to know him a little bit better in this issue.
He's the Superman analog. And then I don't even know if you mentioned Power Princess or Zarda, Wonder Woman analog.
She's like the Wonder Woman analog. She's the other major character in this one here. But yeah, pretty much everyone, like we haven't mentioned a lot of the characters, but when we get to them, they're basically just DC ripoffs, but then go in their own way. We do start with a lot more recap, honestly, with, we were kind of talking at the end of the last issue where Nighthawk has been in the 616 Marvel universe doing stuff there. Chris, you said you read that one, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and we do get a little bit of a recap of it when he talks to Master Menace. He's the villain who was taking over like a part of Saudi Arabia or something, and he's finally catching up on what the Squadron Supreme's been doing in the U.S., and Nighthawk shows up, kind of out in the open, just walks into his lab, and he says, hey, I propose we work together. He gives Master Menace a little recap of what happened, saying I was out in the 616 universe, looking for recruits to help me take down the Squadron Supreme. I actually ran into your old henchman. It was, Pinball, the Mink, and Remnant. In the last issue, we saw them say, hey, I'm scared of being brainwashed by the Squadron Supreme. Can we get out of here? And so Master Menace sent them to the 616 universe, where they met Nighthawk, and now they're back, and they've teamed up together.
And they fought Captain America. And Captain America was
fought a lot of people. Yeah.
Captain America's like, y'all should all team up. And I can't remember the artist for this book, but this is probably one of the horniest panels I've ever seen. Because Pinball, Mink, and Remnant have like big old butts. They have their back to the camera. Mink has a mink coat on, yet you can see your butt like perfectly through that. There's a lot of butt shots in this issue. This is a very horny issue.
It's horny. It's John Buscema, but it's definitely Butch Guice. You can tell his art's. He's inking it at least, and he may have done some finishes like on The pencil work too.
Those are some big butts. Wow, look at that.
This is the horniest issue so far.
Yeah, it really is the horniest issue. Yeah, we didn't talk about the writer as well, Mark Greenwald. He's been writing all these. Yeah. Anyways, so
and I think it is John Buscema, especially the when he's drawing the Master Menace, he is doing the like Silver Age Doctor Doom eyes like every time.
They're nice. So Nighthawk says, "Hey, Master Menace, we got the same goal. You want to team up?" And Master Menace says, "No way. I got no partners. You are not my equal. The only person that I'm ever going to work with is an underling because I'm in charge. So get out of here. No." And Nighthawk's like, "Oh, well, damn, that sucks." Like he goes back out to his flying magic carpet where Mink and Remnant and Pinball are. We didn't mention he got sent to the other universe by Doctor Strange or Dr. Fate, whatever their version is called in their universe. And I guess that's his magic carpet they're using.
I really like how they're like, hey, what do you say? And he's like, no dice. And that's the direct quote.
I wonder if they should have gone in too. Like they know the guy too. Why not? Why'd they have to hang out? But anyways, we see what Master Menace's plan is to take down the squadron on his own. And he has a bunch of dimensional machines. Like that's his thing. That's how he sent his old teammates into the 616 universe. And he's like, he's scanning the machines, finding something. He's like fishing in there with his big rod. And he pulls out an evil Hyperion from another universe. Ooh. And that guy's like, who are you? Master Menace takes off his helmet to reveal a glorious beard. Oh, I love this beard. This guy looks great. And he's like, I'm your old friend, Dr. Emil Burbank. And he's like, oh, yeah, I remember you. Let me catch you up on what's happened. So now we get some catch up on this evil Hyperion and his adventures that kind of had been running through a lot of other 616 comics from time to time. Because, again, they kind of ran into like different versions of these squadron members. And so this was a version who I think was from like a microverse, the micro world. The Grandmaster enlarges him and just sends him to do some fighting. He meets the good Hyperion, but the good Hyperion beats him and traps him. Then some scientists freeze him. Then he teams up with Thundra in the 616 universe. And like up until this point, his goal was just to get home. And now he's like, whoa, this chick is hot and she's strong. Maybe I just want to stay with her. So he decides he's going to help Thundra get back home. They make a portal. They both jump through it, but they get separated. I guess Thundra goes back home, and he's just stuck in this fog void, doing nothing but thinking about his one true love, Thundra, all day, every day. Even though they never actually agreed to be like a couple at any time, he's still just like, this is the ideal woman for me. That's all I know.
Yeah, this track's for evil Hyperion.
Yep.
This is a line that he has in his flashback that I have to read here.
Yeah,
and I have to do the like henchman voice because he has a bunch of.
He does. That's how he's written.
You see, Burbank, when you're as strong as and as tough as me, and don't meet many dames who could stand up to loving without getting pulped. Ew.
Oh yeah. Yep.
Very horny issue.
This is definitely after that essay from like the 60s or 70s, Man of Steel, Women of Tissue Paper or whatever it was, about how Superman would be able to just destroy Lois Lane.
Yep. Well, hey, the good Hyperion in this universe was able to handle it. I think evil Hyperion just has no restraint. I think that's basically the answer.
Well, but he does tell the Lois of his world, like, we'll never have kids because we're biologically incompatible.
Right. Anyways, Master Menace is here and all this, and he's like, oh, this is going to be so easy. He's like, listen, man, you help me. I'll do some dimensional stuff. I'll find your girlfriend. Deal? He's like, great, deal.
I really like this flashback because it's
good. It's good.
Well, it feels like this book feels like, a classic, comic book thing. And we talked about this, but like ratcheting up the fascism just like one or two notches. And I really like this, though, because it reads like I wasn't even sure if this actually took place in any actual Marvel Universe issues or they just wrote it to sound like somebody's like batshit crazy origins of the last 10 years, like condensed in 3 pages. But it says that it does. It has a footnote right at the end of it.
I mean, I think some of it has definitely been expanded to give you more of a sense of him instead of just like the villain on the other side, you know? But that's one of those things I also liked about Thunderbolts, where it's like all these villains who were just kind of doing their own random thing from issue to issue. But then when you actually string it along, you like see their story and you're like, geez, they're messed up right now.
Right. My notes specifically said a Busiek style flashback, which I you know, and it does feel like something like Busiek would write, but you know, just in general, it's a really good way to just condense like 10 years of comic book history into 3 pages and make me like up to speed. This book has done a very good job of that.
Yeah, so back to the real Hyperion. Here, he and Foxfire. Foxfire is one of the villains who is reformed. They are flying to this prison where the Foxfire is there to be like, look, I was one of the villains. They used it on me. I feel great. Everything is fine. The warden's like, I don't know. And then they see a meteorite flaming, flying through the air, about to crash land to Earth. And Hyperion's like, oh, I got to go deal with this real quick. Hold on a second. Sorry, everybody. He flies up to this meteorite. And right as he like hits it, he's about to like punch into it or something like that. There's a very cool panel with his face of just like, you know, a little bit of fear, a little bit of like, all right. And the meteorite like freezes in midair. And it's actually Master Menace's spaceship that's like encased in this fake meteorite kind of bubble thing. And he like looks out the window. He shoots a dimensional ray gun at Hyperion, which makes him disappear, sent to who knows where. And then he turns back to the fake Hyperion and says, remember everything I told you. Follow our plan. Don't talk to me until it's safe. Go, 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 go. And evil Hyperion jumps out the window as this meteorite explodes. Fake Hyperion falls down to the ground as Master Menace gets out of there. And Foxfire and the guards eventually make their way over to him, and he's like totally passed out. So, and he's playing. You can hear his like his thought bubbles of like, hey, this is pretty easy. I'm just lying here doing nothing. They take him back to the doctor. Doctor doesn't know what's going on. Finally, he wakes up, and he's like, who are you people? Where am I? And I'm like, oh my God. They baited and switched this Hyperion and pretended that he has amnesia. Oh, damn. It's like a hell of a twist here. So, yeah. So the team is, the status quo is Zarda is like, all right, I'm second in command. I'm taking over for a little while. This is a big setback, even bigger than when Amphibian destroyed our machines, because that was Dr. Spectrum, who, you know, accidentally killed Nuke and was out of combat duty for a while. He's like, hey, you know what, I'll go back on combat duty if that'll help. We get Tom Thumb and Quagmire. They say they're going to go test out the samples of the meteorite to see what that might have been. Foxfire, who, you know, they've been doing some flirting, her and Hyperion. And she's like, hey, I'll agree to be like a 24-hour tender loving care for him, help him get back up to speed. But Power Princess says, no, I got to do the rehab myself. And, you know, they're doing some rehab, and Hyperion is pretty seriously putting the moves on Power Princess. And, like, you know, they have a good session, just kind of seeing what'll get jogged from his memory. And they say good night, and he, like, follows her home like a creep and looks in the window. And she has a husband who has aged normally while she has not. So she's married to this old guy, and Hyperion is just flabbergasted. He's like, who the hell is this old guy? And like someone else later mentions that it's her husband. He's like, her husband? Her husband? That's sick.
I agree. It is disgusting to have a husband. I don't know how your wife does it, Vince.
Yeah. I'm not sure what's up with it. But the good news is the old guy dies the next night. What do you know? How about that? And of course, I'm sitting here thinking, of course this evil asshole Hyperion did it. But he wakes up, and the first thing he's thinking is like, what's this racket? I can't sleep with all this noise going on. And so I'm like, oh, maybe he doesn't know? But then later, and it's just like such a afterthought to him. He's just like, oh, it was so easy, just sucking the oxygen out of his lungs. No one can trace it back to me. So he murders her husband.
It's a thought balloon that's what's this racket. He's not like performing for anybody. Is he just too dumb or like self-centered to think that like people would be upset about this?
Yeah, he just sucks. And so now he's basically got Power Princess all to herself, but he is still like a little bit conflicted because he's like, what about my old love of Thundra? And he's like, oh, what do I do? Do I, keep looking for her? I've got this Power Princess now, who, again, neither one of these women has like directly accepted any sort of his advances yet, but he's got a big decision to make.
I mean, Zarda did almost kiss him even though she was married. And they do have a line, I think it was either Lady Lark or what's her name? I guess it wouldn't be Lady Lark because she quit. The Zatanna, who's like, yeah, they've been platonic for a while, but I know she's very devoted to him. So like, she's very clearly like romantically attracted to him.
Yeah, I mean, this is again a very horny issue.
Yes.
Oh, so, I guess they haven't fucked in a few decades. I mean, he's 70. Like, what are you gonna do? Like, things slow down, like statistically, like of course. But they can still.
This was the early '80s. There's no Viagra yet.
Yeah.
The husband and wives are like hanging out. Like we didn't mention, everyone's basically living there in their Squadron City, and they are like, I always thought that they would have made a good couple together, Hyperion and Power Princess. So Hyperion goes back to Master Menace, and he comes in, guns a-blazing, and he says, the deal is off, sucker. I got a sweeter deal over here. You and me, we're done. And he just starts beating up Master Menace, trashing the place, going berserk. Master Menace is like, all right, this guy's out for blood. I got to get out of here. He escapes through a dimensional portal, and they have back at the squadron headquarters. I know, I don't like it either, Diana. I don't like it either.
Oh, you can hear her that far away? Okay.
Yes, I heard her. They had a funeral for Power Princess's dead husband. And the last panel is Hyperion and Zarda kissing, and hell of a status quo change here with this issue. Hell of a change.
Yeah, it's interesting because we've been kind of keeping a running tally for who's the worst member of the squadron, and Golden Archer is really hard to beat. But evil Hyperion just murdered a man to try to get with his wife.
Yeah. I mean, I'm kind of upset in the writing though, because this is the one part where I'm like, I really like this story, but I like the principle that like, I don't want good Hyperion to come back and be like our savior, because he's still a dick also. Like, good Hyperion is also not great.
Right. He's still
approved the mind control machine.
Yeah.
And also was mad at Wizard for going to save his family.
Oh yeah.
Oh boy. So yeah, like I guess kind of like a roll call of who's not on the team might be easier at this point. Like Master Menace and Hyperion are in another dimension, but we don't know which dimension, and we don't even know if it's the same dimension. And we have Amphibian, who's kind of on his own. I don't know if he's coming back. He seems pretty through with matters related to land people.
We got 5 issues left?
We have 5 issues left.
I mean, but a lot happened in this issue. So I don't know. I mean, like, there's a lot that can happen in 5 issues.
Well, considering how much the status quo seems to change with every single issue, I just cannot predict what's going to happen at this point.
Yeah.
And I've read it before. I do not remember. So I'm excited.
And it's more or less happening in real time. Like they're consciously saying like, oh, it was like 30 days ago that this happened. When they reference stuff from last issue.
Mm-hmm. So next time around, Evil Hyperion is going to have been on the team for about a month.
And the cover says it's Evil Hyperion versus Hyperion to the death. So, so I guess Hyperion will be back.
But these covers have done a great job of pretending you're going to get a superhero book, and then you're like, nobody fought anybody.
That's true. There's so much going on here, though. Like in any other book, you sold me this is the JLA, so I expect to see like Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman. And President Batman, who's also just a selling point, like Batman who's president. Like, that's how we tell people about this. Has barely been in this book. And even like, all right, President Batman's back in this issue. And he's gone within pages. And it has nothing to do with him again. And it works. I don't understand how it works. This is not like a Poochie situation or like when President Batman's not on the screen, people should be wondering, where's President Batman? I'm not wondering where he is. I'm fine. I'm going with the flow.
You know what it is? It's because you know that he is working on something noble that you will see when it's time to see it. Right. That's all it is.
Yeah.
You know that he's going to fight against these bad guys, and right now we're just like sucking up the drama of like all these.
There's a lot of drama. This is definitely like a Real Housewives type of drama. Like I'm soap opera. I'm like into these people like squabbling and everything. Like, I'm into it. Oh my God, he sucked out the breath of her old husband and murdered him. And then they banged on the beach the day after his funeral. I'm into it. Like, not ironically either. I say that ironically. I'm actually really into this book.
I love the Dr. Doom bad guy, when he's like, the deal's off, I got a better deal. He's like, I don't know what better deal he's talking about. It's like the one where he's basically president of the United States and gets to bang Wonder Woman, dummy.
He didn't know that back half.
Oh boy!
Like, why would he work for you? Is like, I could try to send you back to wherever Thundra is, or you could replace the most powerful guy in the world, who also is like basically the president of America, even though he's technically not the president. And also, you're now in a relationship with Wonder Woman. Like, seems like people might want that deal.
Yeah. I do honestly give props out to Master Menace's D-Ray. That is a cool weapon. A gun that shoots you to a different dimension. That is a really cool weapon.
Yep.
Yeah, I love it's John Buscema's art. I love all the like huge posing that Master Menace is always doing. But yeah, like we said, this is the horniest issue. There's so many like shots framed from behind where you're like, boy, there sure are a lot of butts here.
Well, the whole Power Princess addressing the team is like her butt front and center, like partially bent over, and I'm like, okay, guys. Right. And then the funeral is everybody's butts.
Yes, I was thinking of the funeral.
Jeez, there are a lot of butts in this. Now that I'm flipping through, I didn't realize. All right, we got a different artist next issue, so we can we can just write this one off.
We can tone it down for Christmas time. Christmas episode will be a little less horny.
It's funny too because John Buscema, I think, created Thundra in Fantastic Four, if I'm remembering. So that's his character. So I guess he's got a type 2.
Yeah, look at all these butts. Okay. All right. Well, I think that'll do it for this issue. Oh yeah, what are we doing next time here? Next time we are going to do some more Christmas stories here, but we're going to do things a little bit differently. First, we're going to read a Paul Dini story from Detective Comics 826 called Batman's Slayride. Guess how they spelled Slay? It's S-L-A-Y. Yes. That's correct. Then we're going to watch an episode of Batman the Animated Series. What? Yeah, we're going to do that for the show.
Breaking format.
We're going to do, Christmas with the Joker. It's one of the first episodes, maybe the second episode here.
Yeah, it's the Man-Bat episode and then Christmas with the Joker. Or at least that's how it's
very,
collected.
very early episode, and it'll give us a nice little chance to talk about that. I think we've definitely talked about the animated series a little bit, talking about some of those other Paul Dini stories. First appearance of Harley.
And Joker Mad Love, I think. We watched the episode and compared them. But even like the DC Universe app is like the best 5 Christmas stories with Batman. And it was like one of these stories that we just read was the Silent Night of the Batman was in that list. And then something else. And then, Christmas with the Joker was number 2. Oh, and Batman Returns the movie. Which you can go watch. You can listen to Your Stupid Minds. The last time I guested on that show, and I'm not allowed back.
Maybe one day they'll let us lift the ban, Vince.
I think that's been like 5 years ago now. It's been a minute.
Hey, a serious band is a serious band. That's what happens.
It's more than Ozzy Osbourne was banned from San Antonio for peeing on the Alamo.
Wow.
You know your crimes.
Did you pee on the podcast?
I did.
Oh no. Wow. All right. Well,
it's like from hell.
And of course, we are going to continue Squadron Supreme with issue number 8. So tune in for that. And I think that'll about do it for us. Anything else y'all want to plug?
Your Stupid Minds, as mentioned, we're hopefully doing a Christmas episode. We're planning it now, so it should be out around Christmas time. I also recommend go back and listen to our. We did 4 Hallmark Lifetime Christmas movies. I went back and listened to them. They are hilarious. They are timeless because there is a never-ending supply of these movies.
I watched a lot of them this year. They all follow a formula, and it's a satisfying formula.
There's also the Nutcracker 3D that we did, where John Turturro electrocutes a shark and then sings about it.
Is that different than Nutcracker in the Four Realms?
It is, Vince. It is.
Wow.
The Nutcracker, like Charles Dickens, in the public domain.
You can do anything with a Nutcracker. Okay. Vince, anything interesting for you?
Nothing going on. Nothing going on. Just getting ready for the holidays.
Nice, nice. I've been just streaming a lot, pretty much every night. I've been having a good time streaming video games. A lot of Mario Maker. Started getting into some ROM hacks, actually. Some Super Mario World ROM hacks, which I'd never played before. Getting used to the physics. I'm playing The Joy of Kaizo with Bob Ross, where instead of Mario, you're playing as a little Bob Ross, which is pretty great.
Oh, that's cute. Yeah, World has different physics, yeah.
Yeah, I'm having a tough time adjusting for sure. Plus, the levels are super hard, but also doable. I'm kind of stuck on the 3rd level right now, but we'll beat it eventually. Also, streaming a little bit of Hades, which has been fun. But yeah, just kind of doing a little bit of everything. I'm up to like 70 followers out of nowhere since like mid-November. Pretty fun. So I'm feeling good about it. And I think that's it. Oh yeah, the name. Follow me on Twitch, Kiarash, but it's with 3 R's. KIARRRASH. That's it. That's all I got. I gotta say, y'all, I'm gonna go get horny for some butts after this issue. What else can we do? What else can we do but be horny for butts all day?
Go play some Hades then.
Oh yeah, I'll do Hades. I think there's butts in that game too, so that'll be good.
It's a bit of a horny game.
It is a horny. Vince, I love your butt.
I love your butt too.
Chris, I love your butt.
I love. Oh, I'm just waking up. Sorry guys, I tripped in the shower. What happened?
Jesus Christ.
It's a real Guy Gardner moment.
And I'm Kia. Thanks so much for listening, everybody. We'll see you next time. Bye.